Yo, guys, this is Lucas from Holden Absence, and you are listening to Rhino Radio.
Subscribe.
Hour of Rhino Radio here today again, and I have the honor and pleasure of being reunited with Lucas of Holding Absence. How are you doing today, Lucas?
Hey, I'm doing well, thank you, man.
Thank you very much for joining me again, and I'm really excited. You have a new album, your second album with Holding Absence. The Greatest Mistake of My Life is being out April 16th. How are you going to celebrate that?
I don't know, we've spoken about it really, and we've spoken about it a few times, and we can't really do anything, can we? So we might, I don't know, go and have a couple pints in a field or something. But to be honest, I'd much rather be touring it, and but to be honest, it'll be kind of nice to be able to watch it all unfold and not have to stress about being on the road or whatever as well, I guess.
Well, I know that you don't like talking about it, but obviously it's still on everyone's mind. So obviously we want to talk about the album, but obviously we want to know how Corona affected you. And it looks like the biggest thing with Corona is that you lost your blonde hair. So...
I know. I had COVID and I sneezed out all the blonde in my hair. Yeah.
So is it going to come back? I know that you went from monochrome to colors and you lost your main color.
I know. Well, to be honest, I think it was quite a significant change to go with the color change. It was like, I feel like blonde Lucas was black and white Lucas, and I'm kind of happy to move on now as just normal, boring, brown-haired Lucas, and just chill, But I loved having colorful hair, but I think it was just a lot of hassle and it cost a lot of money, and quite often I looked bad, like the roots would look bad or it'd turn orange or whatever. So yeah.
And if I'm mistaken, the main theme of the album is kind of looking through hindsight. Do you believe in regrets?
I think, I got to be honest, I don't personally think I have any regrets in life, because I'm very at peace with who I am and where my life has ended up, I think regrets are only for people who aren't happy with the way things are, So say, you could have put a tenner on a horse and the horse won and you regret not putting the money on, you obviously would have been better for that. But I think it's such an objective thing. If I said, I regret going out with that person, it's like, or I regret doing this or whatever, who's to say that your life would be completely different now if you hadn't done those things,
If I'm mistaken, the album was completely recorded just before Corona hit.
Yeah.
And your latest single, In Circles, is talking about fighting the mundane.
I know.
The second you got out of the studio, there's no more mundane. So what is it that you miss the most about the post-COVID life that hopefully we're going to be reunited with soon?
I think just my friends and my family. I see my family once every few months now. I used to go over my nan's every Monday, and now I haven't seen her in 4 months. And like, I think that's the biggest thing for me is like, I am a sociable person, and I do get through the days by seeing and being with people. And I'm fortunate I do live with my girlfriend now, otherwise I'd probably have lost my mind. But yeah, so hopefully I can hug all my friends and my family again soon. So
you're missing all those mundane hugs.
I do miss the cinema as well, actually. Now you said that, I miss the mundane hugs. But yeah, thinking about it, I'm trying to think about what else I do miss. But I used to love going to the cinema and just getting a load of nachos and a load of ice cream and just pigging out and just soaking it up. Yeah.
And what is it that you've learned to escape in the kind of Corona time? We've probably all experienced some pondering about things that we don't really need, things that we haven't done. What is it that you've learned and you're going to take advantage of once we're free to roam again?
I think I've just learned how important it is to be able to not see people. I know that's really stupid, but, I feel like a lot of people will kind of run away from themselves by hanging out with a million people, and I think, having spent months on my own, I think like I've realized that it's cool to enjoy, like, it sounds stupid, but I like getting drunk on my own sometimes. You know what I mean? I like playing FIFA for 12 hours a day, but I think it's important to be able to live with yourself. And that's something I hope a lot of people have realized over COVID,
And talking about kind of being pigeonholed and, the media and fans, we all like the describing and labeling. And especially as a male musician that was described sometimes as emo or even sad, do you think that in the days that men are encouraged or maybe even hoped to be more open about their feelings, do you think that the description emo is still a label that we need with music?
I think, I got to be honest, I think emo is probably one of the most important words of the last 2 decades, because like it's taken being in touch with your emotions and made it kind of cool. It's like the goth of our generation. And I think, like you brushed upon, like, trust me, I know I'm a white male, right? Like, I'm straight, I'm white, I'm a bloke. I know that I have it easy in life compared to the vast majority of the people in the world, But one thing you brushed upon is the male suicide rate is staggeringly high. And I think it's because we are taught not to embrace our feelings and not to come to grips with the way that we feel, So I think for me, a big part of this band is trying to encourage fellow dudes, to just come to grips with the way they feel and kind of enjoy knowing that you might not be on the best of your kind of mental health, I guess, because it's like, you're at peace with yourself, it's like, just because you feel like rubbish doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It's like not coming to grips with that is the bad thing, and I think, like you said, I think just specifically men, there's this constant, the whole man up thing is just kind of just stupid now. And I'm glad that we're moving away from that as a people,
So unlike some people that might say, I'm going to stop using the word emo because it used to be degrading, then you're going to embrace it and just say, yes, I'm emo. It's not just me, but emo is great. Be emotional, share your feelings, sing about it, do whatever.
Exactly, man. And, I used to get bullied in school and called an emo. And now I'm like, yeah, I'm a fucking emo. I'm cooler than any of you losers are. So shut up. Yeah.
Love it. Love it. And on that emo note, first of all, I've enjoyed the album. It's great. I've been cycling around town with it. I shed a tear in a traffic light, so that was interesting. But I loved it. And one thing that I've loved even more is the story behind the title. And if I got it right, just as you finished your debut album, your grandma introduced you to an old track by Gracie Fields. And if I'm mistaken, it's even the final track of this album. It's a cover. I was wondering, how come grandma, as a tribute to how she supported you, is not guest vocaling on the album?
I asked her, but her fee was too high. She charged too much money, so we couldn't afford to get her on.
Management is too risky there.
No, man. But yeah, no. So the story goes that my nan had kind of mentioned that my great uncle recorded a cover of a song many, many moons ago, and the greatest mistake of my life was the song. And we just thought it was such a special song, and we thought it'd be cool to name the album after it. And then towards the tail end of writing the album, knowing that it was going to be called The Greatest Mistake of My Life, we just thought what would be cooler than actually having like a little cover on the end as well. So yeah, I'm really proud of it. And I think it just adds a little bit of depth to the whole thing,
And about all those changes that people mentioned before, the musical style kind of went in a different direction. Visual style as well. We mentioned the colors.
Yeah.
I was wondering, kind of on the retrospect of oneself, maturity, maybe even being called an adult. So between all those changes, those new styles, is there a new Lucas? Can you look back and see the Lucas from a few years ago, the Lucas today? Different person?
Lucas. Yeah, I feel like the Lucas that met you all those years ago is kind of a different person to the one I am now. And I got to be honest, I just think I'm a happier person. I've come to grips with who I am, and I've learned to deal with the things that are just bad about me. You know what I mean? And I think that really has influenced this album, is the fact that I'm hopeful for the first time in my life. I'm hopeful for the future rather than being bummed about it, So yeah.
So something that I might be hooked back to this, but I've seen your photo shoot for Kerrang, and you were wearing a cross earring. I've also picked up scents a few kind of, I would say, faithful lyrics. There's something about the pearly gates, heaven, hell, God knows. Does it mean that you're of faith?
So no, I'm not a religious person, but I grew up in a heavily Catholic family, so and I've had this conversation with quite a few people, that you have this weird Catholic guilt, where like there's this sense of like knowing that there might be a God, or there could be a God, or I don't know, but like for some reason, like he's never given me reason to believe in him, and I think that doesn't mean that I can't find religion to be super interesting. I find religion to be probably one of the most interesting things on earth, because when you think about what it does for people, it connects people, it brings people peace in their hardest of times. Dude, even if God isn't real, he's still done so much for so many people. Just the idea of God is a special thing. So the cross thing, like wearing crosses, and I think it's more of a stylistic thing, just because they look cool. But religion is something that I'll always have a relationship with, despite not actually believing in a God myself. So yeah.
And I thought that that's going to be the answer to my next question, because I thought that maybe faith going to help you through Corona and being locked at home. I know that some people went back and forth with God, with faith in general. And then I found this rumor online that your fans, I guess they know you better than me, they thought that what helped you through Corona, what made you stay so positive and put that smile on your face, the smile we know so well, is binge watching Married at First Sight. Is that true?
Oh, dude, you do the best. You are the best researcher in the whole of Britain. You've got it down.
True.
Yeah, I loved Married at First Sight. I watched season 6, I think. Have you ever seen it?
A few clips, yeah. It scared me.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't.
It's mad. Me and my girlfriend watched it. I think it was 40 episodes that were an hour long each. And honestly, I couldn't believe that, like, it obviously wasn't scripted, because no human would write something so crazy ever. Yeah. So yeah, that did help me a lot, though. It was very, good show.
I'm glad to hear that. And that just drags me into our next question. You've already described yourself as a hopeless romantic, more on the hopeless. And I was wondering if, after we know that you're a hopeless romantic, can we also say now that you're optimist?
I am, yeah. I feel like I'm hopeless at a lot of things, but I'm hopeful for a lot of things, as well. I think I am an optimistic guy for the most part, because like I said, and I do feel like this quite a lot, my mental health over the years and my relationship with depression and stuff, like, I feel like it's really taught me to value happiness, and I think that I wouldn't be here today if I wasn't an optimist, because every time I go into a dark tunnel, I know that there is a light on the other side, and I'm blindly optimistic for that, because that has been the trick that has helped me live my life for all these years, Yeah. But I'm also still a hopeless romantic.
So something that your fans might be a bit more optimistic about, and I'm definitely looking forward to it, is there going to be a deluxe edition with the Holding Abscess hummus that you promised me many years ago?
Oh, the hummus. Yeah. Maybe someday, man. Just mainly for me more than anything.
Not there yet. And I want to talk a bit about the technicalities and the naming of some tracks. I remember that in the previous album, you had a track with brackets that had some sort of an irony in it. Your love has ruined my life.
Oh, yeah.
And now you have Die Alone in your lover's arms.
Yeah.
What's up with those kind of word plays? Are you into puzzles? What's going on there?
I think it's cool how oxymoronic those two titles are, because it's like your love it sounds positive, it sounds happy, it sounds great, but then has ruined my life, and then Die Alone in your lover's arms, that adds an even deeper kind of meaning. So I think for me, it's just more a case of kind of elaborating on how the way we word things can, flip the narrative a little bit. So I think it is stupid. It is a kind of like a dumb, over the top thing to do again, let alone the first time. But
it's always with brackets.
I know. I just think it adds a little bit of depth, you know, and there's a bit more to believe in with those songs, you know?
Well, as I said, I've enjoyed the album so much. The Greatest Mistake of My Life is going to be out April 16th. Before we say goodbye, I have one final question, and I'm really hoping that we're going to say goodbye on a very positive note. Are you going to celebrate the release with your grandma?
Oh, you know, I'd love to. I'm gonna take a vinyl to her the same way I took the first one, and that's how it all happened the first time. You know, I took her the vinyl, and then she told me about the song. So hopefully, I give her the vinyl this time, and she'll give me another album title in exchange. But yeah.
Before we say goodbye, is there anything else you would like to say to fans and listeners?
I just want to say something to you. You're brilliant. I love talking to you. You're wicked at your job, so keep up the good work, man.
It's my pleasure. Thank you very much for your time, Lucas. As we said, Holding
Thank you.
Abscess is going to release their sophomore album, The Greatest Mistake of My Life, April 16th. I've already listened to it. It's amazing. You're going to love it. So do
Thank you,
that.
man.
And hopefully soon we're going to be able to talk about shows that are actually happening, or maybe even meet by a venue. So
Yeah,
Lucas,
dude, I'd love
thank you.
that. Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure, like always.
Yeah, you too, man. Thank you so much.
Subscribe. Subscribe.